Good evening and welcome. You're watching the NewsTrack. I'm Rahul. Kanwal. Where do things stand on the political chessboard of Maharashtra and Jharkhand? The Election Commission has announced the dates. Maharashtra, make no mistake, is the political crown prize. Who's likely to win the battle for Maharashtra? That's my top focus on the NewsTrack tonight.
Countdown to state award. NDA India grudge match. Last mega poll battle of 2024. Supercharged poll clash returns. Two battleground states at stake. Who has the edge? Big focus on NewsTrack.
The stage is set for the last mega poll battle of 2024. The Election Commission today announced the dates for the crucial Maharashtra and Jharkhand assembly elections. There will be a single-phase election in Maharashtra on the 20th of November. Jharkhand will vote in two phases on the 13th of November and on the 20th. The big verdict day is the 23rd of November. After the Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir elections, all eyes are now on these two battleground states, with Maharashtra being the #1 political prize.
For Maharashtra, this will be in single phase. The notifications, date of notifications are in front of you. 22nd October would be date of notification. Last date of making nomination would be 29th October. Scrutiny on 30th October, and last date for withdrawal 4th, and date of poll in Maharashtra would be 20th 11. Counting would be on 23rd 11/24, and you will notice that date of poll is Wednesday. This is deliberately, which lot of scheduling, whatever goes into scheduling, we have tried that it is midday so that issue of urban apathy is handled. And in case of urban apathy, we are really very concerned. We want to make appeal through you to all our esteemed voters in the urban areas to please come and vote.
20 नोव्हेंबर हा मतदानाचा दिवस, हा महाराष्ट्राचा भाग्य ठरवणारा दिवस आहे. 2-2.25 वर्षामध्ये एवढ्या कल्याणकारी योजना, एवढ्या विकासाच्या योजना, कधी न झालेला विकास आम्ही केलाय. याची पोचपावती या महाराष्ट्रातील जनता दिल्याशिवाय राहणार नाही आणि महायुतीचं सरकार पूर्ण बहुमताने या निवडणुकीमध्ये येईल.
2 साल से जिसे हमें इंतजार थी, जिस दिन की इंतजार थी, आज वो दिन आ गया है. चुनाव का ऐलान हुआ है. हमें अदालत में न्याय मिलेगा ऐसी अपेक्षा थी, लेकिन न्याय तो कुछ मिला नहीं. अभी हम यही अपेक्षा कर रहे हैं कि जनता की अदालत में हमें न्याय मिलेगा. 2 साल से हम देख रहे हैं महाराष्ट्र की लूट हो रही है. बेरोजगार युवा हर जगह घूम रहे हैं, युवा युवती है हर जगह घूम रहे हैं, लेकिन सारे जो उद्योग है, सारे जो रोजगार की संधि है, वो गुजरात जा रही थी. अगला जो विधानसभा जो चुनाव होने जा रहा है, वो चुनाव दिखा देगा कि ये महाराष्ट्र से ही चलेगा और महाराष्ट्र की आवाज ही सुनेगा.
What I hope to do on the newsroom is to try and give you some framework to think about the Maharashtra elections and what could happen. Remember, given what happened on the 4th of June during the Lok Sabha elections, and then after that during the assembly elections on the 8th of October, it's really very difficult to call Maharashtra and Jharkhand one way or the other. But we'll try and make sense of where things stand at this moment. So I want to show you what happens if I convert the Lok Sabha data into assembly segments. This is the only base data that we have, which gives us the most latest sense of how Maharashtra voted. Remember, what we actually have are the Lok Sabha seat share numbers. But if we go booth by booth and convert this into assembly segments, this is what the Maharashtra assembly would potentially have looked like. 145 is the halfway figure for the Maharashtra assembly, with the Mahavikas Aghadi, the India Alliance, expected to be beyond the halfway figure, and the Mahayuti short of the halfway figure by about 20 odd seats. So that's really the numbers as far as each of the parties was concerned. The BJP was the numero uno party at 79, the Congress at about 63, the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray at 57, the NCP of Sharad Pawar at 33, the Shiv Sena Shinde at 40, the Pawar faction, the Ajit Pawar faction of the NCP at 6. So that's broadly what the Maharashtra Assembly would have looked like if results had happened on the 4th of June. The question is, what has happened from there till now? Now remember, the Battle of Maharashtra is not one big mega pan-state battle where the picture across the state is the same. It's a battle of different regions. And if you break this down into regions, you see all these 6 parties are strong in particular regions. They don't have a pan-state presence, which is what makes Maharashtra some of at least 5 or 6 different battles rather than just one. So if I can have the region-wise breakup of these Lok Sabha seats into assembly segments, and I'll take you through what that looks like. So you've got the biggest region in Maharashtra is Western Maharashtra, which has 70 seats. In Western Maharashtra, it's a battle between the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP versus the BJP. 19 for the Sharad Pawar faction, the BJP with 17. Here the NCP of Ajit Pawar managed to get just 2. So in that battle between Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar in the Lok Sabha elections, we had Sharad Pawar carrying the day. The second biggest region of Maharashtra is Vidarbha. Here the Congress swept, and remember, Vidarbha with its 62 seats is crucial because if the Congress, and here the battle is directly between the BJP and the Congress, 29 leads for the Congress, 15 for the BJP. If the Congress can repeat this in the assembly elections on the 23rd of November, then the MVA has a solid advantage. If, however, this reverses, and remember, Amit Shah and the BJP top brass have been spending a lot of time in Marathwada, in Vidarbha, trying to do the micro management and the detailing over there. From there, if I come to the third biggest region, which is Marathwada, here the battle is between, here again the Congress did very well, the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray faction did really well, and the BJP did not. Here again the battle is Congress, UBT versus the BJP, and here if the Congress and the UBT can repeat this performance, it is advantage MVA. The question is, how much have things changed? In areas like Thane, Konkan, that's where Eknath Shinde is strong, that's where the Shiv Sena has traditionally been strong. In Mumbai as well, you've got the BJP, Shiv Sena, which is strong, versus the Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray Sena. So in different regions, the battle is between different factions, and that's something which really is to be looked at. If I look at the broad picture, MVA is the India Alliance, Mahayuti is the NDA. In Konkan, it was 17 versus 7, with the NDA having the lead. In Western Maharashtra, it was the MVA, which is way ahead of the Mahayuti, 39 versus 27. In North Maharashtra, again, it was the Mahayuti, the NDA, which was in front, 27 versus 15. In Vidarbha, the MVA, largely thanks to the Congress, ran away with the elections in the Lok Sabha, 41 versus 19. In Marathwada, 34 versus 12 for the NDA. And in Mumbai, it was an evenly poised fight, 16 versus 20, with the MVA having a bit of an advantage. Now the question is, how much have things changed and what could potentially happen on the 23rd of November? Yashwant Deshmukh joins us. I have Amitabh Tiwari on this broadcast. I have Sanjay Kumar as well, and Rahul Verma. I want to go to Yashwant first because Maharashtra is tough to call. If Haryana was so anticlimactic in terms of what the pollsters were saying and what happened on counting day, do you think we should just sit back and say, get your popcorn, have your chai, coffee, pakoda, samosa, and watch what happens, and we'll tell you on the 23rd what's happening on that day, because trying to call Maharashtra is really a pundit and pollster's nightmare.
It is more than nightmare. I mean, you see, it's not just about the different regions and, and all traditional equations, political equations of Maharashtra going haywire, largely. I mean, it used to be a fair enough bipolar contest in Maharashtra, then every party exploded, and now we have got 6 parties into 2. And can you imagine, Rahul, that what kind of state would be like in Haryana? You had a largely bipolar contest, and still the others undecided, and basically the rebel candidates, they kind of, did what they did. Now imagine a 6-cornered thing in Maharashtra, and only 2 guys are gonna get the tickets from the 2 fronts, and rest of the 4, at least be minimum 4 number of rebel candidates in each and every seat. So obviously, apart from the traditional equations going haywire, what is nightmarish is the huge number of rebel candidates that are going to be at play in any case, no matter who gets the ticket.
But it depends on how those rebel candidates are managed as well.
Exactly.
Where the Congress really came up short in Haryana, the BJP was able to manage
It
rebels
was the
relatively
basically
better.
the BJP's micromanagement versus Congress's mismanagement. You know.
Rahul Verma, can it be said that post Haryana, the BJP now has the edge because the BJP has been doing a lot of effort in Maharashtra? They seem to be ahead in terms of alliance seat distribution, and now the mahal and the narrative, which was against them in Maharashtra, is favoring them. The other way of looking at it is, hey, mahal doesn't matter. You know, it didn't matter on the 8th of October, it didn't matter on the 4th of June, so just sit back, have popcorn, mahal, narrative, pundits don't matter.
Maybe, see, I think what we have learned over last 12 months, that every round of election cycle produced a result which was contrary to the expectation. So in that sense, what Maharashtra and Jharkhand is going to throw up, we don't know at this stage. What we definitely know that after the Haryana and J&K result, the BJP, which seemed down and out, has got some sort of like psychological boost which must have gone to its cadre. And perhaps it might have also learned from its mistakes in 2024 Lok Sabha elections and are making adjustments to those mistakes, which might have resulted them a victory in Haryana. Hopefully, Congress learns from its mistakes in Haryana, and we'll see a much sort of like a closer fight. What is definitely going to happen in Maharashtra is a nail-biting finish. Even in 2024, when the Maha Vikas Aghadi got 30 seats, the vote share difference between MVA and Mahayuti was less than 1 percentage point, which is what we saw in Haryana also. Seat distribution are going to be very, very different, but vote shares are going to be very close.
Sanjay Jha, you know, if the question is, if the Congress couldn't win Haryana, where they had everything going in their favor, you had a strong regional leader, 10 years of anti-incumbency, the BJP forced to change CMs midway, and the same happened in Chhattisgarh as well, where the Congress party had a real shot. Then when it comes to Marathwada, when it comes to Vidar, people who are watching at this time will say, boss, direct fight mein ke bas ki nahi hai. No, 4th of June was the aberration. Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, this is the default template. Anything else was the outlier. And remember, the BJP won on the 8th of October, despite the mahal and the narrative. So this idea, this victim complex that the Congress has, that the BJP wins because of narrative or media or influencers or mahal, you know, that's really come a cropper. That's proven to be untrue.
Rahul, in my opinion, the defeat in Haryana is providential for the Congress and the Maha Vikas Aghadi in Maharashtra. And I think the Congress is clearly woken up. If you notice, they have been quick in getting the meetings happening. They have already appointed their observers. And I think the Congress has recognized that it cannot afford to have a repeat of Haryana, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and Punjab anymore. Otherwise, this will be a self-inflicted damage. Now, here is the critical point on Maharashtra. I think you have done a wonderful graphic display of past trends, including the issues that will dominate the election. But I can tell you what's happening here in Maharashtra from my perspective in terms of my conversation with people. The critical factor is going to be Ajit Pawar here. And let me tell you, there are 3 parties in MVA, 3 parties in the MVA. So it's like an auto rickshaw, really. And if you look at the MVA, Uddhav, Sharad Pawar's NCP and the Congress look stable. None of the wheels is coming off. In the Mahayuti, I can tell you this for a fact, the Ajit Pawar wheel is frankly off. And therefore, I think the vulnerabilities are huge within the Mahayuti, and they recognize that. And it's pretty public, Rahul. You know, when you had leaders openly saying that when we have Ajit Pawar in the NCP, we feel like vomiting. I mean, that was like a huge public embarrassment. And I think NCP is totally aware of the way they are being shafted out because of their very poor performance in the Lok Sabha. Now, will that repeat in the assembly election? Of course, as every psephologist will say, we'll have to wait and see what happens on the 23rd of November. But the bottom line is that the seat distribution, the fact that Ajit Pawar is seen as a political liability, the BJP and Shinde Shiv Sena are seeing that any seat given to Ajit Pawar is actually like a net deficit in terms of the way it will accumulate for the Mahayuti, is already showing that the tailwinds will be in favor of the Mahavikas Aghadi. Again, having said that, the truth is, and I say so very often publicly, if the MVA were to nominate and publicly declare Uddhav Thackeray as their chief ministerial candidate, I think that clarity of leadership will be a huge plus for the MVA.
Rajdeep, you've been working the phones. You were in Mumbai over the weekend. Do you think the Hawa has turned? And frankly, now I question whether the Hawa matters at all.
Look, whether the Hawa has turned, I think would be a little premature. I'm being very cautious at the moment. But certainly a Vidhan Sabha election is not a Lok Sabha election. I think in a Lok Sabha election, the issues can be very different to a Vidhan Sabha highly localized election. I also sense that there has been course correction by the Mahayuti, the ruling alliance. You can call them sops, you can call them Rebdi, but they've made a genuine attempt to try and somehow transform their image to being seen as a welfareist government. It may cost the exchequer, but that's another matter. But my sense, Rahul, is it is 3 elections in one, both in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. That hasn't changed. In 2024 Lok Sabha, you had an election primarily between the Congress and the BJP in Vidarbha and Marathwada, to some extent North Maharashtra. You had and Western. You had an NCP versus NCP election, core Western Maharashtra. And you had Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena in Mumbai and Konkan. The reason why the MVA scored over the Mahayuti, they won 2 of the big battles, Vidarbha and Western Maharashtra. And I think that's where this election will be won and lost again. If you win 2 of the big battles, between them have about what? 110 to 120 seats, 62 plus 58. That to my mind decides an election. That, has it changed dramatically, is the question mark.
No, but that's also why Amit Shah has been spending a lot of his time.
Not just Amit Shah. I just heard that Bhupendra Yadav has done 168 meetings of OBC groups. Now, what has gone on in those meetings is a subject of much speculation in Maharashtra. But the fact is that these are the smaller OBC groups. You're targeting them specifically, their leaders. You're trying to create OBC versus Maratha like you did to some extent in Haryana. Jats divided, consolidate OBCs. Here, Marathas divided, consolidate OBCs. It may work, it may not. We don't know. But that's a strategy. I don't know what the new strategy of the MVA is. They are relying on the same politics that they practiced in Lok Sabha.
They're trying to do Maharashtra versus Gujarat. That Maharashtra projects are going to Gujarat.
That's an important point.
But does it connect in rural Maharashtra?
That's what I'm trying to say. That first of all, I mean, this new scheme, I mean, that is showing impact for sure. That I understand that. But the problem with that entire calculation is, Rajdeep, that, you know, Sharad Pawar will deliver, Uddhav Thackeray will deliver, Congress did deliver in Marathwada and Vidarbha in Lok Sabha election. But post Haryana, now there is everybody putting up a question mark. Can they micromanage the things when it really comes to the deal? You know,
it's a tougher state to micromanage, but let me say this. Eknath Shinde is out and about. I haven't seen a Maharashtra leader as aggressive.
He's on turbo right now.
You know, he does 5 rallies, 2 a.m. in the morning. I tried to contact him. He said, you know, I'm traveling. I said, sir, it's 2 a.m. I'm coming back home. You know, he is on a high in a way because he knows.
No, and he came to the conclave, he's quite confident.
But it's do or die for him as well.
Sure.
You know, this could be his make or break election. He does well, he has a future. He does badly, his party will collapse. Remember, there's nothing to hold it together apart from power. So he has got lots at stake. Uddhav Thackeray has just gone to hospital yesterday. Good luck to him. I hope he recovers. He's got a tough task to take on Eknath Shinde. Sharad Pawar versus Ajit Pawar. Ajit Pawar has tried to reinvent himself, softer image post Lok Sabha. But Sharad Pawar understands local politics better than anyone else.
He's also 84 years old now.
He may be 84, but he knows which. You see, Maharashtra works through local satraps. Who is the strong man of Solapur? Who's the strong man of Kolhapur? He's working through them.
He got the best strike rate in the Lok Sabha
elections.
elections.
So he knows even now which seats to pick. The real battle, which will be decisive, is Congress BJP.
Yeah.
In Lok Sabha, the Congress trumped them. Samvidhan Khatre mein, Dalit Muslim combination.
Unexpectedly trumped.
Kunbis, the so-called DMK, Dalits Muslim Kunbis in Vidarbha. Maratha reservation worked entirely in their favor because there was a Maratha consolidation in Marathwada. So, will it all work again? You see, my worry for any Congress strategist is they think one formula works in every election. The BJP is much better at changing its strategies based on circumstances.
So two things very quickly.
That I think will decide. Plus, final point, this election, suppose I am a Shiv Sena candidate, Rahul, a UBT candidate or an aspirant, but that seat goes to the Congress in Konkan. What will I do? I'll contest as an independent. Or I will look for a political party, third front, fourth front. Managing independents, managing rebels, managing the anti-incumbency promising spirit. In Lok Sabha, it was clear. I don't want to vote for the government, I vote for the opposition. In a Vidhan Sabha, Rahul, it will be multipolar. And that's why I think Maharashtra could be a maha mess at the end of it all. You could have 30, 35 independents who either win or decide who wins and loses. And that, to my mind, managing them will be critical. Forget Mahal.
Yeah.
It will be about managing an election. And that, out of the MVA, I only see Sharad Pawar with the ability. Here I've got, it's Amit Shah versus Sharad Pawar in the end, when it comes to managing the election in a state like Maharashtra.
But it could very well be both of them doing very well. You know, the thing is that, I mean, Sharad Pawar in his own territory, Amit Shah in his own territory. So basically two things apart from
but the BJP will contest 150 plus seats. Sharad Pawar will only contest 80.
But the problem is that Sharad Pawar, with the kind of strike rate which he has shown in the Lok Sabha election, might very well end up as the biggest contributor to the MVA tally.
Or could be kingmaker.
Or the kingmaker. Exactly. And nobody can reach Sharad Pawar what he does after that. Having said that, two things very quickly, Rahul, I mean that way. Number one, he just mentioned the same thing, that number of rebels and the independent that this entire thing can throw up. I was listening to the way Shinde was speaking at one of the rallies, and I can certainly sense a very clear zing, in his thing. Somehow he is looking confident. Somehow he is looking way more confident what he was looking in the Lok Sabha campaign. Second thing, silently but most certainly the Haryana and Jammu Kashmir election, Jammu election, not Kashmir, both have clearly shown that RSS is back in action as far as their own way of dealing with the BJP and the network is concerned, which arguably we know for sure in the Maharashtra Lok Sabha election particularly, RSS was not in the game. That's why the Vidarbha and the Marathwada poor showing were also on the card. With these two things back in action, I believe post Haryana, as I have said, that it has rebooted the entire equation and entire game.
Okay, Amitabh Tiwari, does Haryana impact Maharashtra or not? This becomes a very important factor. If the tide turns because now you've got the Mahayuti with tailwinds and therefore having that extra propellant booster, will that impact Maharashtra on the ground, or you think they're too distant, too localized for any spillover effect?
See, I mean, there are lessons from Haryana for both BJP and the Congress to learn. However, as you said, there are two different states. In terms of momentum, BJP does get the momentum. The party which was on the back foot, the Mahayuti, after the Lok Sabha results, does get the confidence, the cadre and the leadership that they can win, they can turn things around. Now, one will be the fixing of the sheet sharing formula. Both the alliances have still not finalized the sheet sharing. There are 20 independent smaller parties which are backing the Mahayuti government. Now, whether they will contest in alliance with Mahayuti, who will give these 20 seats, whether BJP or all of them will part with their seats, those are things which will be the question. Now, the question again will be that the Congress, after having lost in Haryana, sees that it will have to finalize alliances with smaller parties. And there are many smaller parties. In Lok Sabha, only 12% vote share was backed by others. In Vidhan Sabha 2019, 24% vote share was backed by others. In Lok Sabha, only 9 other candidates were leading in assembly segments. In Vidhan Sabha 2019, 29 other candidates had won. So they will have to now fix alliances, probably with smaller parties like Samajwadi Party. VBA is already out of question. They have declared their candidates, PWPI, RSP, etc., etc. Then there will be a question of how do you, because it is a regional election, 5-6 elections into one. So different narratives. no statewide pan narrative is likely to function here. So Vidarbha will largely be agriculture districts and farmer suicides. How these two parties, BJP and Congress, their narrative works there. Marathwada is Maratha agitation, but there is a counter consolidation of OBCs also happening. Then there is the battle of legacy in Western Maharashtra, Pawar versus Pawar, and a battle of legacy again in Thane Konkan and the Mumbai region, which is Thackeray versus Thackeray. In the 2024 Lok Sabha election, on a rough basis, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray pocketed around 60% of Shiv Sena vote and Eknath Shinde around 40%. Whereas for NCP, it was 75-25. 75% pocketed by Sharad Pawar and 25% by Ajit Pawar faction. So there is that emotional angle which was working in favor of both.
So many questions to build on what you're saying. Rajdeep, who stands where in seat distribution? Is the Mahayuti much ahead of the MVA, or because they lost Haryana, is the Congress now willing to be far more humble, far more accommodative, and therefore willing to compromise, which they may not have been earlier?
Rahul, the sense I get, the Mahayuti could well announce the seats, respective seats as early as
all
tomorrow.
Of them.
Who gets how many? Then, of course, the battle is who do you give them to? I'm also told that the Congress is having a screening committee meeting as early as tomorrow, and by Friday, they will announce their first list. So I think the Congress...
No, but they need to decide how many to the Congress, how many to Sharad Pawar.
I think broadly 80-85% seats are decided. It's the balance 15%. The Mahayuti may well announce all or leave a few open for independents and smaller parties. I think by and large the Mahayuti, as I said, has been better prepared for today. They've been working harder on their ground
But
game.
they were better prepared in the Lok Sabha elections as well.
Lok Sabha, there was
no, they were better prepared.
Better prepared, but perhaps overconfident. You know, that the Modi factor hai, sab kuch hai, Modi ke naam par ho jayega, that didn't happen. I think what happened, you know, to give you an example, North Maharashtra, one big issue in Lok Sabha became restrictions on onion exports. That actually hit the government in some parts.
They fixed that.
They've now fixed that, as I said. But now there's a new problem, soya bean prices, which again is becoming a big issue in many parts of Maharashtra. You see, that's why I say Maharashtra is an extremely complex election, because there is no one mahal that you can extend from Gadchiroli all the way to Mumbai.
It's different, a set of 5 states.
Even within Vidarbha. There's the Amravati division, there's the Nagpur division. How do you, how do the politics of that play out? Within Konkan,
so
you know, you could have one district like Raigad, which could be with NCP, another district like Sindhudurg, which could be with Eknath Shinde, a third district could be with the Shiv Sena. So you've got different different districts playing differently. It's a maha mess. The only way to solve the maha mess is to do the hard yards of micromanagement. This election will be won or lost based on who is willing to do the hard micromanagement. Resources is a big issue. BJP, like it or not, has a huge advantage there. That's where the level playing field becomes a little non-level. They have huge resources to do a lot of this micromanagement.
But now so does the Congress. They run Karnataka, they run Telangana.
Sharad Pawar is not short of resources. Yes.
Exactly.
But the Congress runs Telangana, they run Hyderabad, they run Bangalore. They've got enough resources.
Boss, Congress ka yahi to musibat hai. You see, today I'm told suddenly that they are actually going to put some of their satraps in charge of each region from outside. Good idea, because the BJP does it in all elections. Some of the good things of the BJP need to be imitated by the Congress if they want to stand half a chance. The ability to do this micromanagement. Yeah,
no, but you can't wake up late and start doing micromanagement. Micromanagement requires micro-planning from a very early stage.
It's a micro-planning 24/7 with the dynamic changing scenario.
Boss, you're absolutely right, which is why I said on your show earlier also, I think Mahayuti is better prepared than the MVA. Having said that, because it's such a maha mess, because there are all these local factors, I would hesitate to predict which way it will go. I just think Sharad Pawar does have the advantage at the moment over Ajit Pawar. It may not be overwhelming, but it's there.
That's the only thing we can be sure of.
No, but there is something that's happened.
The only thing.
I have a question for Rahul Verma, because let's zoom out of seat-sharing rebels for a moment and look at what's happened. In the recent assembly elections, whether it is, say, Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh and now Haryana, we've had a result which has been quite different from expectations. The BJP winning such a decisive mandate in Madhya Pradesh didn't seem on the cards. There was a lot of murmur of anti-incumbency, the Congress putting up a good fight. In Chhattisgarh as well, It seemed like the Congress was putting up a good fight, arguably in the advantage, and then ended up being a debacle. Same happened with Haryana. Why is that happening? Is it down to micromanagement that the BJP is doing, or is there a larger picture there that which really gets messed up in the fog because you're so close, like, whether it's Rajdeep, Sahil, anybody, all of us are so close to the action that you're not zooming out and looking at the larger picture which is being building up, which then just becomes apparent at 2 p.m. on counting day?
So it's a hard question to answer, and I don't think I have an answer to this. But let me try. I think, one, what's happening, BJP at the back of its power in the center has now started expanding in states. This is the reverse model of the Congress, where Congress basically dominated the states, and through that it had power at the center in the 50s, 60s. You had very, very strong satraps at that state level. And so what we are going to see is basically this usage of all kinds of forces, both from the legal domain, ED and other ways. I think BJP will continue to expand itself in the state. This coercive use of state machinery, what it is doing, earlier you had politics in 60s, which was Congress versus anti-Congress. Now you will have politics of BJP versus anti-BJP. And that is basically creating bipolarity in the system everywhere. So you can keep talking about rebel candidates, but most of the votes and the seats are actually won by either two parties or two alliances everywhere, right from the examples that you gave. Even in 2024 elections, 97% of the seats were won by these two alliances. And so in Maharashtra also, rebel candidates are part of India's electoral politics since 1950s, and parties have to manage them at every instance. It's not that it's a special case either in Haryana or Maharashtra. Elections are going to happen at the constituency level and they need to be managed. But there is a systemic sort of feature that has developed where politics is going to be either in favor of BJP or anti-BJP.
This typically hasn't happened. Usually, whether it's a pundit or a pollster or a traveling journalist, they oftentimes can get the direction right. You have some sense of which way the political wind is blowing. Whether you get the actual vote or seat percentage may or may not be the case, even with the best of polls. In Haryana, after people got the direction so overwhelmingly wrong, if you go the mood of the street is इनको कुछ नहीं आता ही ऐसे कुछ बोलते खा पी के आ जाते इनको कुछ पता नहीं है.
Rahul, I think the more I have looked at Haryana and tried to introspect where we got wrong as pundits and pollsters, it is a nightmare. Think about it. Two parties get 39 virtually the same vote share, and the actual difference comes in the Jharkhand. The real difference came in those 12-15 seats in the Jharkhand, which went to the BJP largely because of fragmentation. And that's the point I make about Maharashtra as well. How do I, as a pollster or as a pundit, assess which independent will get how much? It's not easy. You see, I can assess possibly the main parties and 2 to 3% vote share.
Even if we assess the vote share correct within the margins, I mean, it's not going to
I'm not trying to defend myself, but or pollsters. The fact is we got it wrong. I have egg on my face. The truth of the matter is 2 to 3% vote share change. 2%.
No, but nobody came back with Kante ki takkar either. If that's the case, then you come back and say it's a real tough fight, and frankly, we don't know. People came back and said it's a swing majority wave. You were quoting Yogendra Yadav, Andhi, Tufan, Tsunami.
Because 2% Haryana at this point of time, as we speak.
But I'm saying that if you look at the likes of one second. But Yashwant, no. If you look at the likes of Yogendra Yadav, they gave 3 options: Andhi, Tufan, Tsunami. There was no 4th option that it could be hit wicket or it could be.
He was alone. I haven't yet met even a serious 24/7, 365 days Haryanvi journalist who said Kante ki takkar. All of them said Congress is ahead. Now the ahead could be 50, it could be 60, it could be 70.
That I understand.
And in a small state, the difference between Kante ki takkar and one side going well ahead is 10, 12 seats. Very difficult to assess. Look, don't use Haryana for Maharashtra only for the reason that we are talking about 288 seats. It's a much larger state. I heard Rahul Verma saying, it will be BJP versus North. Even that analogy doesn't quite work for Maharashtra. The BJP is not contesting 288 seats. At the very best, they will contest 150, which is barely half the state. The rest, they are relying on allies. Why did the BJP break 2 parties in Maharashtra? Because they know you can't win Maharashtra on your own. It's very difficult. So therefore, Maharashtra does not, pundits and no one size fits all. Maharashtra in that sense is unique. And you've got to accept that uniqueness and look at it.
Apart from the fact, Rajdeep, that Maharashtra is almost like 5 states in one state, and as you mentioned about even the district level of, differences from one district being apart from that, I think the biggest collateral damage that polling, journalism, and everything, all of us as analysts have suffered from the Haryana thing, particularly after the Madhya Pradesh Chhattisgarh thing, is that even if we sense, even if there is a mood to change, even if there is a pro-Congress sentiment that we sense or gauge, now we are in perennial, perpetual fear. There is a probable Congress victory, but what if Congress
Mahal versus management. But the truth of the matter, Rahul, is that we should stop predicting.
I agree.
All of us are getting into this trap. Political stock exchange karo.
No, political
prediction kar de.
No.
I'm very happy to do a post-mortem.
I don't agree with Rajdeep. Political stock exchange is very important because it gives you a sense of the weather vane. Right now, you won't do a forward-looking projection. You won't do an earnings projection.
The Congress stock
you can do think of it like the markets. You can do an assessment of the stock pricing right now in terms of whether it's fairly priced, overvalued, or undervalued. What you don't want to do is a forward-looking earnings projection because frankly you don't have enough insider information to know what the management is likely to deliver and how the shareholders will react. So there is a stock market parallel to it. Don't do forward-looking projections, but you can definitely do a stock assessment of where things stand. That you can do. There is a cricketing analogy. If you don't like markets analogy, there's a cricketing analogy to this. It's an India-Bangladesh match. In the match, it looked like Bangladesh is winning. If you're just looking and Rajdeep or anybody sitting in the commentator's box, Bangladesh is winning because you can see Bangladesh is winning. But somewhere in the end, Rahul Verma, Bangladesh found a way of choking and India found a way of coming back. It's happened so often that the BJP Congress battle is beginning to feel like a Bangladesh-India cricket match. Even when Bangladesh is looking strong, going well, almost on the cusp of winning, they find some way of pulling off a defeat and then saying, same with South Africa in the World Cup finals. They look like they are winning. You look at them, South Africa is going to win. And then they choke. So they find some way of choking and then you blame the commentators कि आप तो बोल रहे थे South Africa जीतेगा अब ये देखो South Africa हार गया. But you can't help it because you can only comment on what you're seeing ahead of you.
So let me first respond to Rajdeep's point. I think Rajdeep, when I'm saying BJP is the pole, I understand in Maharashtra BJP is not going to contest 288 seats. If in Haryana you can count as small state. South Haryana is different from GT Karnal Road, is different from the Jat land. Maharashtra being a large state is of course going to be very, very different. The point I'm making is that the fight that you are seeing at the moment, the battle that you are seeing between BJP and anti-BJP is not just in the party's sense. It's basically a ideological battle, which is also in some ways where why did Shiv Sena break away and join BJP? They could have gone other way. All I'm saying is basically two nodes have developed in the party system, and BJP being the principal node, politics is getting surrounded around it. Second point which I'm making, and this is just a humble submission, which is that perhaps the reason we are not able to get the hawa from the ground is because the nature of political competition is changing. You had one kind of political system between 2014 and 2022. That political system is changing, where bipolarity is developing. That's what I'm saying. I know independent matter. Independent matter even in a RWA election. So they matter in MLA election or MP election. Parties have been doing the art of election management at constituency level since 1952.
Sure. No, so I hear you. Sanjay, come in on the Bangladesh, South Africa cricketing analogy because you used to do some cricket in your previous life. Bangladesh seemed to be winning and this has happened match after match. You ask somebody what's happening, India to har raha hai, Bangladesh jeet raha hai. And somehow Bangladesh finds a way of botching it up and ditto with South Africa and World Cup finals or semi-finals. I mean, they're winning like the recent T20 World Cup finals. I mean, they came 30 runs. They were very close to winning. You would have thought they would have won and they found a way of not winning.
Rahul, I think all of you have missed the most important data.
Which is?
That will actually tell you why the psephologist or the exit poll or you guys clearly got it wrong. Because
No, don't say you guys. You were very much in there. You were thinking, you were also in the Aandhi, Tufan, tsunami list. So don't make this about you guys.
Let me explain to you why you actually were not wrong. That's exactly my point. If you look at the data, the Congress went up from 28% vote share in 2019 to 39% vote share. Sure. That is a 40% jump. So if Mr. Deshmukh or you guys felt that there was a Congress Hawa, it's a 40% addition to the votes. You know, when people campaign, I can tell you I've been on a few, you get an upsurge of public participation that does create the impression that the vote shares are going to be high, which it was. Now, when it converts to seats, it's first past the post system. I mean, that is where the deviation is. So the real story of Haryana is the jump of 40% in the Congress's vote share that a lot of people understood to be a conversion to seats. That did not happen for the reasons that we all know best, managing of rebels, etc., etc. On the issue of Maharashtra, I think Rajdeep is absolutely right. Micromanagement will be important, but politics is not either or. You need to set up the narrative, win the election, have great campaigning before you get down to managing the micromanagement. Here is the crux. I think where the issue that a lot of people are missing is the campaign that the MVA is doing on the shifting of business from Maharashtra to Gujarat. In Mumbai, I can tell you, Rahul, this for a fact, the Ambanis getting a big hold of the Dharavi project is echoing and resonating across not just Mumbai, but across
not the
Maharashtra.
Ambanis. You got your facts messed up, but yeah, okay, go on.
As an example of Gujarat getting business in the home state of Maharashtra.
No, but does that click? You know, this idea, Amitabh Tiwari, now think about this. I know I saw some videos and photographs of some 60-odd buses traveling through the breadth of Maharashtra. They're making the case that many projects like Foxconn, etc., moved from Maharashtra to Gujarat. So that's the point. Like in Karnataka, they had the whole Pay CM campaign. It kind of caught up and Bomai made some self-goals. There is no one issue, because even when we were in Maharashtra recently, there's no one issue that seems to have captured the pan-state imagination. There's some fragments and they're trying to build on this Maharashtra versus Gujarat emotion. Is that big enough to become a pan-state issue? Do they have enough time? Have they made enough effort to spread it far and wide? I think you're on mute.
See, essentially, there has been some undercurrent between the Marathi and the Gujarati communities for quite some time. It is there. But however, since it's a very complex state, we are not seeing any pan-statewide issue. So this could resonate probably in urban areas where we see that the MVA will be able to tell or explain the narrative that the youth are losing out on jobs because factories are going out to Gujarat. But the fact that it is linked to Marathi pride, that is something which the Mahayuti will be
I'll tell you what, let me frame my question and then get Rajdeep to respond to it, because there are two ways of looking at it. One, typically I would have thought that it takes time to build a campaign and narrative. You need to seed it in, spread it, let it seep, and then it gives you returns. The other is that the Constitution Khatre Mein came from nowhere, became really big during the campaign. So now frankly, I don't know. The traditional thinking is it takes time. Can Maharashtra versus Gujarat become like a big issue, or do you think it will not become that big?
Look, first of all, it's very interesting that it was also played to some extent even in the Lok Sabha. There were the likes of Uddhav Thackeray who were still raising it. Now it's been amplified because it's a local election. He got the maximum claps. I was there at the Dussehra rally when he made those kind of statements. It almost brought back the old sort of Bal Thackeray kind of
that's
anger.
In Mumbai. That's at the Dussehra rally. No. Move to Marathwada, sure. Move to Vidarbha, move to Western Maharashtra. Does it have as much salience?
As I said, I don't think any issue has a pan-Maharashtra salience. But the fact is, Maharashtra is a heavily urbanized state. And what I call a urban state. The classical state where you go 20 kilometers away and you see elements of being a small town. So news travels. In this WhatsApp generation, news is traveling. Women were showing me who had come from rural Maharashtra to the Dussehra rally, saying, "Arey sagda kai gelay Gujarat la. Everything has gone to Gujarat." So you see, in this WhatsApp generation, in this post-truth generation, it's very easy to spread the message. The truth is, 52% of FDI of the last year has come to Maharashtra also. So that's the Shinde camps and the BJP's narrative versus the narrative that major projects like Foxconn have gone to Gujarat. But very interesting, Maharashtra is one of those states where the Shiv Sena also has never got a majority on its own. So this whole notion of regional identity, Marathi Asmita, for the longest time was limited to Mumbai. It then spread to other parts, but it's never been a DMK, it's never been a TMC, which stood for Bengali identity or Dravida identity. Maharashtrian identity, and we had a very interesting debate on Mumbai Tak with some old Marathi journalists, has always been half-born. Some would say it's been dishonest. It's only been opportunistic. It's never been sustained cultural, social, political identity. And that's why the Shiv Sena never became party number one of Maharashtra. So I think this whole notion that you can have a pan Maharashtra versus Gujarat, I think it has its limits. I don't think it can win you an election. Elections, Rahul, are going to be won or lost in Maharashtra on who captures the local mood in each constituency. It's really going to be the most localized, hyper-localized election.
If you have been watching our coverage over the past 44 minutes, you would have realized that we'll try and be as authentic as possible. We'll also be as humble as possible. There are very clear limits to knowledge. And I think both Haryana and the 4th of June very clearly amplify and reflect that. We will try not to predict who's winning, but I can guarantee you this. If you want commentary of the big political match in Maharashtra and also Jharkhand, this is the place to be. It is frankly impossible for anyone to say with any genuine level of authenticity that X or Y is going to win. But if you just want to know what's happening in the match, then I say bring it on. Tune in to India Today. I promise Rajdeep, Sahil, our team will have the best commentary of the cricket match. If in the end we have Australia or India or Bangladesh or South Africa kind of situation, who knows? I mean, whether it's...
Is my friend still doing an exit poll?
Absolutely.
Huh?
You
You're
are
still
not,
doing
I
that?
hope you are not wishing me going out of business.
No, I'm just asking you, Yashwant. I'm just asking. I don't want to. No,
We are all students.
लगे रहो.
बिल्कुल, लगे ही रहना है. हार नहीं मानूंगा, रार नहीं टारूंगा.
अरे वाह.
I like that line.
Okay, nice. Vajpayee ji as Yashwant Deshmukh.
No, but it's important to stay invested and try and refine the process. You know, you can't say, oh, we
You
made a
learn and
mistake.
You refine and you move ahead.
Yeah,
and you must learn your limitations as well and accept those
and be authentic and honest about it, which is what we'll try and do. And frankly, what we don't know, we don't know. I mean, there's no point in pretending that you know when you don't. I mean, I don't want to name any netas, but all those who say, हमें तो पहले पता था हरियाणा में क्या हो रहा है, I know for a fact, after speaking to many top leaders, that what happened was quite different from what they thought was happening. Now, of course, nobody will admit it, but since this happened in first person and I saw this, you know, that's just life, that's cricket, that's politics, and we'll just cover it for what it is. And hopefully you will enjoy the coverage. It will be a very exciting battle, which is why I hope that you will tune in and watch a lot of it here on India Today. There's been a big breakdown in India-Canada diplomatic ties after New Delhi expelled 6 Canadian diplomats and India recalled its High Commissioner. The war of words is escalating. Canada has accused India of enlisting the help of the Bishnoi gang to target Khalistani sympathizers. India maintains that Justin Trudeau and his government have not presented any proof at all. This is where I wrap up the NewsTrack tonight. I hope you enjoyed our broadcast. Maharashtra is going to captivate India's political imagination because yes, of course, Haryana is important. Yes, of course, Kashmir matters. But there's nothing that matters quite as much as Maharashtra and Mumbai in setting the tone of what happens from here. If BJP and the Mahayuti can win Maharashtra, then the 4th of June is well and truly left in the past and it's back to business for Messrs. Modi and Shah. If there's a reversal, then Haryana becomes the aberration and they level the charge that this government is on a decline. Nothing anyone says, nothing you've heard on the show, nothing you think, nothing I say between now and the 23rd of November will change any of it. We will know at around 12 p.m. on the 23rd of November what's really happened. I look forward to a very exciting election campaign and I hope that you will join us for it. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I'll have more for you at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Goodbye. Good night.